You know, I can never stay consistent with these Matt's Mind videos, guys. If you like these videos and you want me to stay consistent, drop a like or yell at me in the comments because I hate missing these videos, but sometimes I just get sidetracked with other content. I don't know, I'm a mess. Anyways, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode of Matt's Mind here on the channel. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this weekly-ish Q&A series, basically, if you guys have any questions about me, about LEGO, about Star Wars, about YouTube, or about even my personal life, go ahead and put them down below in the comments section and drop a like on the video, of course, to be featured in next week's video. And if you guys haven't already, please consider subscribing and staying up to date with the content we got coming out in the very near future. So because I missed last week and I've sort of been really inconsistent with these videos, we'll start off with a little bit of a different comment here. This is going to be the comment of the week from the classy Baryonks. Sees my question in the thumbnail. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Now, the first question to get us started this week comes from Infernal Bricks. If you had an infinite amount of bricks, what type of mock would you build? Basically, what is my dream mock? And I've said this a couple of times. I'd love to build like a massive 40 gray by 40 gray Scarif, try and make it as to scale as I possibly can. Have the tower, you know, go like 50, 60, however 100 feet up in the air. That'd be ultimately crazy. I don't think that's too realistic in terms of the tower, but if I had an infinite amount of pieces, most notably like the palm tree pieces and like the 1x2 trans clear was a trans blue tile to make like the water, I think that'd be really sick. I think Scarif, again, as I said before, is one of the most aesthetically pleasing and is by far the best action sequence we've had in Star Wars. So I'd love to revisit Scarif if I had an infinite amount of bricks. I think that'd be super cool. And then maybe even a large scale Geonosis, again 20 by 20 true, the dark orange color Geonosis would just be amazing. And I hope that one day LEGO makes more of those parts, so that way we can build the Geonosis here. Next question here comes from Warrior 1080. Will you ever move on to building your own vehicles? Building my own vehicles is something I don't think I see myself doing. I just don't have the patience for it. When it comes to designing the crate wall or the buildings on an axis, I don't have a problem designing those. I don't find it too difficult. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience. When it comes to designing vehicles, I just don't think personally I have that patience for designing vehicles, whether that be a starfighter or a landship or a walker, anything like that. But as years do come, hopefully down the road, when my skills with Studio and LDD have increased substantially, maybe I'll move on to building my own vehicles. But for now, basically my method of thought is if I see a really good design that I love online, there's no point in me trying to recreate my own because I love that design. Hence is why I've gone with David's ATTE and the gunship. So that's sort of my reasoning behind that. Next question here comes from Noah, or H2Brick. What's up, Noah? Shout out to H2Brick. Make sure you guys go sub to his channel. Thoughts for next week after watching the Clone Wars. What would you say is your favorite season? Now, surprisingly, I've watched the Clone Wars through probably about 3 times maybe, and I can't really choose a specific favorite season. However, I can say my favorite arcs. So for example, the Mandalore arc, the Umbara arc, and I think the most interesting arc in my opinion has to be the Ahsoka arc, obviously with Barriss and the whole betrayal. I think that was just so masterfully well done, and I know personally I didn't expect what happened, and nor did I even expect her leaving the Order, and I think that just threw a wrench in everything, and I think it was a really interesting idea to go down. And I cannot wait to see how Clone Wars Season 7 attacks that sort of arc. Obviously, the arc is not closed. We have seen Ahsoka in the Season 7 trailer, obviously, so we know she's going to be making numerous appearances. But I think it's going to be super cool to see Ahsoka after basically the middle of the arc when it was left open in the previous Clone Wars trailers before the one coming this year or maybe even next year, how she sort of relives her life because all she's known is this Jedi Order, right? Training from a young kid to becoming a Padawan for Anakin. I think it's going to be super unique, super cool to see how that sort of changes the game a little bit. Next question here comes from Bly Productions. Will you be expecting to go to Brookville 2020, Brookville Chicago 2020, and if so, are you bringing an Axis? Yes, that is actually most likely going to be the first convention that an Axis will be displayed at. The idea is to have an Axis be at Brickworld Chicago and Brick Fair Virginia 2020. Both of those I do plan on driving next year to Chicago, bringing the mock in its full entirety. So if you guys are going to be free, please come down. I think you guys are not going to want to miss seeing an Axis in person. But yeah, that's the idea. As long as nothing urgent or major comes up, Chicago is definitely on the plate. The next question here, also related to the Clone Wars, comes from RoboNut03. Hey Matt, great video. Do you think we will get to see Ahsoka's reaction to Anakin turning to the dark side in the new Clone Wars series? Absolutely. I really want to see it. I really do. I know there's going to be 3 arcs in the new coming season, right? We obviously have the Mandalore arc, then we have the Anaxis arc, and then we have the Ahsoka arc on Coruscant. So I am really hoping, the ideal ending for me for the Clone Wars Season 7 that we're getting is literally like as soon as Anakin leaves to go fight the Battle of Coruscant, like we see the battle unfold on Mandalore, but then after that we see Anakin and Obi-Wan jump out of hyperspace and you see the whole battle, the space battle of Coruscant. So I don't think we're gonna be able to see Ahsoka's reaction to him turning to the dark side. I would love for the series to end where Anakin and Obi-Wan appear right before the Battle of Coruscant, and then it literally is a smooth transition into episode 3. So because of that reason, because of what I want to see, I don't think we're going to get the Ahsoka reaction. Now that is in no way saying I wouldn't want to see that. Of course I would love to see that reaction, because Ahsoka, the connection between Ahsoka and Anakin is arguably one of the most tightly knit relationships we've seen from the Clone Wars era. Obviously the whole relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan in the prequel movies was just completely botched. So now that we see a real genuine reaction, obviously Anakin loves Padme, but we also see he has a different sort of love and care for Ahsoka. So I would love to see how Ahsoka reacts to that. I would honestly think that she would go down like a little bit of a deeper, darker hole, at least temporarily, obviously seeing her master turn to become one of the most evil people in the galaxy. So I love to see it. I don't think we're going to. Next question here comes from Lego Panther 21. Question for Matt's mind: what do you think of the new Red First Order Trooper for Star Wars Episode 9? Also, what is the weather like where you are? Hashtag still in school. I think you're out of school now. The weather here has been pretty warm. It's been like upper 90s. It even broke 100 like for the past 2 days. But that's not important. Your real question is what I think of the new First Order Trooper, the Red Trooper. Here's the deal with that. And I have a little bit of a agreement, and I might go off topic, and this might honestly be the rest of the video. So the large majority of people who do not like the Red First Order Trooper, they're using the argument that, oh, they're just making new toys. Oh, they don't care about adding new lore. They don't care about the story. They're just adding another trooper to make new toys. Well, to you guys who think that, I have a giant news flash to you. Star Wars has been doing that ever since the original trilogy. Obviously, we saw the Stormtrooper in Episode 4, but then guess what? Episode 5, we have the Snowtrooper. Guess what? Episode 6, we have the Scout Trooper. So Star Wars and Lucasfilm have been doing this forever. There's no reason why you should be turning a blind eye to those reasons and then the ones we're getting recently. In the prequels, they made clone troopers, never before seen. And then, oh my gosh, Episode 3 and Episode 2, when they started making all these Legions, 501st, 332nd, the Airborne, whatever, purple, yellow, pink, whatever color it is, they've all been making it to make new toys and products. So for those of you who are saying that as your primary excuse, I think you really need to check yourself. That was a little bit of a rant, but onto my own personal opinions. I think it's super cool. Episode 7, Force Awakens, we obviously saw the newer sort of style for the First Order Troopers. And then in Episode 8, obviously, we have like the crate snow troopers of the First Order. I have no problem with us getting a new Red Trooper as long as it's used properly. Now, a great example of Star Wars using newer troopers and newer armor and newer just characters in good use is Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and that is the fight between Kylo Ren and Rey when they team up against the Praetorian Guards. And you compare that to the Royal Guards that Palpatine had Episode 3, where Yoda walked through the door, gave him a little dab, and then all of a sudden they were dead. Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi used the Praetorian Guards in a fantastic way, and it is without a doubt one of the most, if not the most well choreographed and just downright impressive and amazing short action sequences we've had in Star Wars. So that right there is a prime example of using the Praetorian Guards, who were obviously a very formidable force. In fact, hurt Rey and Kylo Ren and barely even made it out alive. Like, that's a great use. Now, linking that back to the Red First Order Trooper that we have for Episode 9, as long as they are used properly. Now, to play devil's advocate, the worst example of Star Wars using newer troopers in a bad way, for example, would be the First Order Specialists, who were literally in the movie for maybe 3 seconds, and then they waited for a minute between executing Finn and Rose, and then all of a sudden they were in battle pack. So like, that's an example of something I would be very disappointed in. If we only see like a minute of these guys on screen, I'd be super disappointed. But again, as long as Episode 9 utilizes the new First Order Red Troopers in a very good way, adds a really good presence to them, and as long as they contribute something to the film like the Praetorian Guards or like the Rogue One Scarab Troopers or something like that, I'm completely okay with it. I think the red accents are really cool, and obviously adding new sort of stuff to Star Wars lore always gets me excited. So overall, very good with it. And the last question for today comes from Jose Tavares. After you finish a mock and display it at a convention, how long do you keep it? Will you disassemble it right after? Do you have any process to close such a project? So in fact, for Anaxis, I do plan on bringing it obviously to Brickworld Chicago and Brick Fair Virginia. So after Chicago, I can't tear it down. I have to repack it and get it ready for Virginia. But after Virginia, I have no idea. I would really like to keep a large portion of Anaxis intact. That way I can sort of build like this big log of builds I've done. And then the idea is hopefully down the road when I have a larger house, hopefully when I'm living by myself, I could display each of these mocks permanently, maybe in like a large glass tube. So for an Axis, I do want to make every effort to keep it intact. But for example, for Kessel, if you haven't seen my Kessel videos, that was a mock I made in the late last year and early this year. As soon as I was done with that mock, I immediately tore it down because I just didn't have the room. I kept the Kessel Falcon, obviously, but it probably took me about a month of tearing down. I resort the parts back into my collection, and then I utilize them. And for example, I'm making actually a new mock for Brick Fair, Virginia, coming up in a week or so, or 2 weeks or so, with the parts from Kessel. So with that mock, I did tear it down completely. I just basically grabbed the mock, I started tearing off parts, putting it in my collection, and then sorting it back into places where I will know where it is and where I can really go fast and know where the part is and utilize it most efficiently. So guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you all enjoyed this week of Matt's Mind. Again, if you guys have any comments or topics for discussion, put them down below in the comments. This week I sort of ranted a little bit about the new First Order Red Trooper, but in a good way. Hopefully my support for it was voiced well, so you understood my points. And let me know what you guys think. If you guys disagree with me about this trooper, also let me know down below in the comments. I love having conversations with you guys. So stay tuned for this week for a couple more videos. This Saturday I'll be releasing an update on my Brick Fair mock, no Axis mock this week, and then I'll be leaving for Brick Fair this Sunday, and I gotta tell you, the vlogs are gonna be absolutely freaking lit. So with all that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Take it easy, fam. Peace.